Hello, gals and pals. It's another episode of Cocktail Hour. You know, you've just been waiting with anticipation. Anyway, so we're episode 131, and I'm Andy.
And I'm Sherry.
I'm Colette.
Woohoo! So, yeah, I did not do much in the way of time management today. Don't ask. But I'm going to quickly depart and make myself a little cocktail because Colette's having something and it looks so delicious and I'm parched. So I'm going to let these two take over and I'll be right back.
Okay, quick.
She'll be right back.
Quick like an alcoholic bunny.
Keeps going and going and going. So I'm using my Bountiful Teat tankard again for some delicious grapefruit flavored bubbly water. It tastes better than it actually
really
it sounds.
The only thing less appetizing than bubbly water would be grapefruit flavored bubbly water, or maybe like, I don't know, tuna flavored or something.
I don't know. Although my wife would agree with you, she hates every flavor. I'm like, oh, smell it. Oh, it smells really good. Taste it. Oh my God, that's the worst. That's the worst.
I'm assuming that it is not sweetened. It's just sort of flavored fizzy water.
Yep, that's exactly.
Yeah, that's.
It's really, really good with.
I mean, I was gonna say I could use that as an ingredient in a thing, but I'm not drinking. I'm certainly not going to drink a stein full of it unless it's keeping me from death.
Well, I'm used to it and I've been doing it. I've been drinking bubbly water like this now for about a year. So and before I wasn't drinking any water at all. So I've gotten in. Of course, I was drinking it with gin a lot, and but I imagine I'll get back to drinking it with gin at some point in the near future. But
I love that Andy is making so much noise, at least a room away, that her camera keeps turning on because, hey!
Your camera kept checking in.
Because it sounded like Ricky Ricardo was giving a concert. It's just lots of booms and drum sounds and...
What did you make after all of that?
I made a double-decker gin and tonic.
Double-decker gin and tonic, yeah.
It's actually not tonic. It's lime sparkling water.
See, more bubbly water. It's what it's all about now.
It's more refreshing, less cloying.
Yeah, tonic is kind of gross.
Yeah,
I don't think
I could go back to it after just having gin and vodka just with water. I don't think I can do it again.
Yeah, me either. It's much more refreshing. So, do we tell our listeners?
We didn't tell them a goddamn thing.
I love it, keeping them in the dark. That's awesome. All right, so. It's kind of weird. I'm using headphones, so I'm hearing my voice like a tunnel, and I'm not used to that, so it's kind of weird. So if I start screaming,
that's what it sounds like all the time to us too.
So funny. So I think I picked this book. It's Fata Morgana. Oh yeah, okay. Fata Morgana by Stephen Boyett and Ken. What the hell is that? Mitchroney.
Yeah, Mitchroney,
the San Francisco treat. Okay. So,
I wouldn't mind throwing him off of a cable car.
Or a bridge.
All right, my big first question is, did everybody finish the actual story?
Yes.
Yeah, the actual story, right, Sherry?
Yes, Andy didn't finish the epilogue either, so I feel
okay.
I had 20 minutes. I had 20 minutes left, and I said, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
That's actually kind of hilarious. So should we go ahead and determine that we're going to give spoilers?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Spoil it up, sister.
So it's funny because I was going to ask you guys what the end meant. And obviously, I can't.
Don't know. What happened?
Okay, so So, well, I guess we should probably start at the beginning. I don't know that I want to start with the epilogue, do I?
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah, that's
you so logical, so logical. Wait, before we get in there. Collie, did you tell people what you're drinking? Make them all envious?
I guess I didn't, because I guess that happened before it started. Yeah, it is. So it is a ginger margarita.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Oh.
Yeah. Went to a restaurant that was on top of a hotel in Honolulu, and they were serving that. And so jotted it all down and came back and made it.
I'm going to try that. Definitely. And y'all know what I'm drinking.
Yep.
Okay, so are you ready to do the summary, Miss Thang, or you want me to read it from Amazon, or what do you want to do?
No, I'll read it from. I'm afraid to give the summary.
Give the summary.
Just off the top of my head.
Oh, no. Read it.
All right. At the height of the air war in Europe, Captain Joe Farley and the baseball-loving, wisecracking crew of the B-17 Flying Fortress Fata Morgana are in the middle of a harrowing bombing mission over East Germany when everything goes sideways. I was just thinking of how long that sentence was.
Was that just one sentence?
That was just one sentence.
Oh, see, and I just kind of zoned out.
Just like the book.
Just like the book.
God.
The bombs are still falling, and flak is still exploding all around the 20-ton bomber, as it is knocked like a bathtub duck into another world. Suddenly stranded with the final outcasts of the desolated world, Captain Farley navigates a maze of treachery and wonder and finds a love seemingly decreed by fate as his bomber becomes a pawn in a centuries-old conflict between remnants of advanced but decaying civilizations. That was a second. No, that was two sentences. And then things happen.
Yep.
I don't even want to finish reading the blurb.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay. I would like to say something right out of the gate, if you all don't mind.
Okay. Yep.
If you love aircraft, like if that's your thing, like you can't get enough of bomber descriptions and aircraft, this is your book.
Yes.
This is your book.
But if you're like the other 99% of the world, this is not your book, because half the time I was like, what? You know, and when he leveraged the flange and then they did the whoop-de-zoop, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah, and having it read to me did not help.
Yeah, but I will say the narrator did a good job with the material that he had.
He did.
He did good voices. Yeah.
He was good with accents. Mm-hmm. Every character had a distinctive voice.
Yep.
And there were a lot of characters, and
there were.
All but two of them were men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
well, I gotta say, I think that the two authors, and I don't know these people from Adam's House Cat, don't know them, but I gotta say, I think these two guys are like plane aficionados or bomber aficionados, and I think they built a weak plot in order to talk about the plane.
I think one guy is the plane guy, and the other guy is the historical author, and I think they collaborated on this book.
Which one is the misogynist?
Well, that's probably both of them.
Which one was the sexist? I'm not sure where.
Yeah. All right. So I was telling Sherry this earlier. So I knew that I was going to be in a plane for 11 hours. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to listen to this on the plane. So there was a lot of hoops to jump through to get this thing loaded onto my phone and to find a program that would play it. And then once I did that, on the first flight, it was like I had not downloaded it to the phone. I put it on Google Drive. And then once I was in airplane mode, it was like, this is not accessible. And I was like, God damn it. Like after I had tested it at the airport and it was good, but I didn't download it because I thought Google Drive was downloaded, but no, it's not. So then I took time to download it at the layover, right? So from LA to Honolulu, I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to this book. And after like the first 45 minutes, I was like, I'm done. I can't.
Oh my God.
Because I know. Like
wow.
they hadn't even come by to ask me if I wanted a drink. And I was like, I'm turning this off because so it is World War II. I think it's 1943. It's a bunch of dudes in a bomber crew. They think that they're hilarious. They're not. These are the kind of guys that I have worked with through the years. The kind of guys who are like, hey, dirt, I'm really funny. And it's like, there's nothing funny about what you're saying. You are not a funny person. You need to stop trying to be funny. You're just being so imagine a bomber crew full of these, like if they were like, he talked like Bugs Bunny, like one more fucking time. Like, I'm sorry, that's not funny. Or
Jack Benny's
voice and blah, blah, blah. And then everybody laughed, supposedly. And I'm like, why? Why would everybody laugh? There's nothing funny about that, right? So it's like a whole bomber crew full of guys who think they're funny and racists and men who hate women. And yeah, okay, I get it. It's 1943. And there's men who are racist and hate women today. But, no. Like, I don't need to immerse myself in that. I can watch the news now.
Yeah, I don't think that it was so much that they necessarily were misogynistic. They were just so incredibly sexist. And again, it was 1943, but it got so old. And here's the thing that really pissed me off is you have, and this is a little in the future, but I just want to say it now. There was one woman who was, before she started talking to Joe, she was strong and independent and bucking the system. And then she talks with him for a few minutes and she's like, you make me feel like a woman.
Oh, I remember that one. Oh my God. I want that.
You gotta be shitting.
Oh, that was so disappointing, I gotta say.
And at that moment, I had, it took probably 2-3 hours for me to actually get into the story, which was difficult. And then to have that, it was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me! I just want to be done. Hey, buddy,
I mean, it was pretty apparent that it was written by men.
Yeah. What a difference, though! What a difference between this book written by two dudes and the previous book that we read, The Rook, that was also written by a dude, and the women were just handled in such a different way.
True.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, and I guess part of me feels kind of badly because I feel like the author does make an attempt to show. So basically, these racist, misogynistic a-holes travel through a wormhole in time in their bomber, right? And they come out in this sort of post-apocalyptic future world where women are equals and women are scientists and women are soldiers, and they're like, what? Butter boobies.
Thank you. Why would they want to do these things?
Right, because they got lady parts. I mean, so I this could have been so much better, right? By having these men from the middle of the 20th century introduced into this sort of futuristic society where women are equals, and really, and I felt like that it tried to do that. It just didn't really succeed.
They should, if they would have left any sense of the romance out of it. I think it would have been so much better, because she turned into just a simpering dipshit as soon as she was anywhere near near Joe. You know?
Yeah.
And the way they treated the Native American dude.
Oh my God.
You're the worst Indian ever. It's like, that was maddening.
Well, so like when they greet the Native American dude and they're like, "How, Chief?" And I was like, oh, I can't. And they're like, "You're funny."
But you know what?
Like more of that. No.
That reminded me, though, when they were doing the How Chief crap, that reminded me of the Lone Ranger. Remember the black and white television show, Lone Ranger? They did weird, shitty lines like that, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that kind of thing wasn't prevalent through, just pop culture and culture in general at that time. Absolutely. But I don't know. I think the reason that I didn't really get a full hour in my first listen was because there were 0 women, right? 0. It's just these guys. And
the chick on the bomber.
The one that they painted on the fuselage. And maybe if if there had been real banter, if it had been clever dialogue, then maybe it would have held my interest. But yeah, so I gave up on that the first time I was physically able to listen to it. And then I decided that I was going to try again on the way back, because honestly, I thought we were doing this last weekend.
That was so funny. Colette sends out this email or this message like, "Are we doing this today?" I'm like, oh, I hope not, because I haven't started yet.
She did.
So I'm like, all right, God damn it, I'm going to force myself to listen to this. So I put it on, and within 10 minutes, I have fallen asleep on the plane.
Oh my God.
Thing playing in my ear, and I wake up. I have no idea how much of it I missed, but we were already through the wormhole and stuff. So
did you rewind?
I did. But I was sorry that I did.
Yeah, I was going to say nothing happened. You shouldn't have.
Oh, God.
Well, but I mean, like, I didn't know how they got there, or,
Not really sure how they got there, and I'm not sure how they got back. They just got in their plane and decided to fly.
Yeah,
and
so
it was like,
Farley
there was a machine. There was a machine. Remember, they had to turn it off or turn it on, and then they had to go through the coordinates.
I think I zoned out. I think I zoned out. I missed a lot because I just didn't care. I mean, I was listening and I was rewinding at parts,
you were listening, but you weren't hearing. That's kind of where I was too. Because at a certain point, you were just like, "Oh my God, shut up!"
I want them all to die. I remember when I was listening to it, going, "Can you all just fucking die now? Just fucking die. Just blow the bomber up. Fucking die."
Oh, right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so basically what I think happens is that, so the wormhole into the future, the dystopian future, they end up in a future line of what would potentially happen if Germany wins World War II, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the gist.
200.
No. I don't think they won. I think they caused basically like the Earth to crack based on their ammunition or armaments. That they blew up the world basically. Yeah. So not that it's like a Pyrrhic victory, if anything.
Well, so how did we prevent that from happening? By winning the war, right?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay, so I guess that's how I came to that conclusion then. So because
we won the war before they could set that off.
Yeah, because the Allies win the war, it prevents Germany and the Nazi Party from basically blowing up the world. Yeah. So the the timeline, the future timeline that this bomber ends up encountering, there are two subsets of people, right? One group ends up with the woman who they painted on the bomber, which let's just say is preposterous.
Yeah.
Right? Because so this dude has been dreaming about this woman, and he has this picture of this dream woman in his mind. He is not the one who paints the bomber. He apparently describes the dream woman to a guy on the crew, who jots it down on a cocktail napkin, who then paints her on the side of the plane.
You're right on it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I fully comprehend the ridiculousness of this plot point.
Yes, and
so they come through the wormhole, and they are greeted in this sort of a desert scape by the woman who was painted on the side of the plane.
Yes, with her compatriots, yes.
And they are at war with this other group of people, and I cannot remember what their little...
The Redout.
The Redout?
The Redout?
I think, did they call it the Redoubt?
Oh, the Redoubt. It was something, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which kind of suspiciously smelled like H.G. Wells' Time Machine, with these two conflicting cultures. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So then the whole rest of the book is basically them trying to be useful to these future people who are surviving. They are highly advanced from a scientific perspective, right? Because they are living in these sort of biodomes where they are trying to be completely self-sufficient and sustained. So they are producing their own food and fuel and oxygen recirculation and energy. And so, I mean, I guess that was kind of cool. And then really it was sort of, can the bomber crew get back through the wormhole and go back to their time? The
Which they did with no problem.
Well, I don't know that I would say with no problem, because that was a pretty lengthy thing. And then don't they end up like unwittingly with a Nazi in their party? I mean,
they do, yeah.
Oopsie.
Yeah, but I just want to say that as soon as they discovered that plane, I knew, I don't know if you guys did or not, but I knew immediately that guy was a Nazi. I had no doubt in my mind that he was a Nazi. They had foreshadowing where he just came out of nowhere. He wasn't ever going to be blah, 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 and he had a German accent. I just,
I didn't get that much attention. Yeah, I really didn't.
I can see why.
Yeah. And and the escape was a little weirdly easy. And how did the guy on the bomber, how did he get the little spider things to turn on the leader, like boop, like with a code word, and all of a sudden this swarm of spider things.
Monkey wrench.
I'm like, what the shit? I'm like, what? How did it happen? It was just, every time I turned around, I was like, with this story, I was like, oh God, just die already, die, God damn it.
When you said when we first started that you wanted to quickly say something before we got started, I was pretty sure, and I was at least hoping that it was going to be, I apologize for selecting this book.
No, that comes now. I apologize. This was my selection, y'all.
It was.
I thought, you know what? It could have been great, but it just wasn't.
It could have been. It was definitely one of those with a poor execution. Good idea.
Yeah, I don't know that it could have been great, but it sure as shit could have been a lot better than what it was.
Yeah, and
I mean, there was potential there.
I thought the one thing that I thought was kind of interesting at the end was when they got back to their own timeline, kind of, because there were still things that were a little out of whack. Did you notice that? Now, I thought that was kind of interesting.
That was good.
But by the time it got to the epilogue, when he's telling, Farley was like 70 years old, and he's talking about what happened to the crew, I'm like, did they die? Did they die? So I'm listening, and then...
Okay, yes. The answer is yes, they all die, and then when you get to the end of the epilogue, Farley is the only one who's still alive, right? He's in his 90s.
Holy shit.
And he gets contacted by the U.S. military because they are trying to do research on the bomber crew and the weird shit that supposedly happened to them, and the fact that this bomber crew, they never lost a battle, and there were a number of things that were unusual about this bomber crew, but then apparently there is also something, I can't remember what it is now, that I think it's a photograph, right? There's a photograph that shows something super hinky about that flight because it is taken either right before they disappear or right before they reemerge. And the plane is not where they were supposed to be, and there's something not right about it. The fact that I can't remember it should be indicative that I had completely glossed over at this point. But I am taking some small satisfaction in the fact that I am the only one who got this far in the book.
It's true. You should feel very, very proud of yourself.
So basically they bring him in, he's in a wheelchair, and they start asking him questions, and the whole crew had this pact that they were not going to tell anybody what had happened because no one would believe them. And now that everybody else on the crew is dead, he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, here's what happened. And so you get the sense that the book itself was actually him recounting the story to the military, and that the reason that and there's a scene where he sees what's her name, chick on the side of the plane. What was her name?
Fata Morgana. Oh, you mean?
Oh no, Wenda.
Right there is a scene where he sees her and they have conversation, and that was what I was going to ask you guys about. Like, was that just a fantasy that he has as an elderly man? Because ultimately he comes to the conclusion that because they came back and because the Allies won the war and prevented that post-apocalyptic world from ever happening, that he in essence prevented Wenda from ever existing.
I hope so.
Oh my God, so wrong.
But honestly, it was like once it ended, I was like, "What just happened? What?" I'll just ask them because I don't want to listen to it again.
I'm sure you'll get it on your second read through.
No, no, thanks.
So
I'm going to stay away from those guys.
So we're a half hour in. We're halfway through the show.
We have basically all we've done is wipe our ass with this book.
That's true.
Well,
yeah.
Here's what we have to say. We haven't really discussed this, but we recommend that you don't read this for any reason whatsoever.
Unless, like Andy said, you have sort of an unnatural affinity for World War II aircraft. And you know all the parts. You can describe all of the components in the cockpit. And when they say, flip up the flaps and twirl the juby-doo, that makes sense to you. Because, yeah, I'm here to tell you. I was like, I wish I could just fast forward. But, so I had this thing on my phone, and the entire book, like, I can't remember how many hours the audiobook was.
Like 12 hours.
Yeah, so that was a time. That was a timeline this long on my phone. very hesitant to just try and drag the bar, because then it was like chapter 2, chapter 19. I'm like, no. Well, maybe I didn't miss anything important.
You did. I'm telling you missed nothing of importance at all. And the writing was not very good. I mean, just in general, there were so many. If so and so noticed this, you couldn't tell, or just ways of saying the same thing over and over. If he was shocked, you didn't show it. I'm just so tired of that phrase. And phrases that mean that thing.
Similar, yeah.
So there were like 5 or 6 of them in there, and then there was it just wasn't very well done. It just wasn't.
Nope.
About any of it.
Nope.
Yeah. All right.
So that was my fall down.
Well, you know what's funny is that if you were to go back and watch a movie from the era that is considered a classic, like something like From Here to Eternity, that has terrible dialogue too. Like that scene with Burt Lancaster and Deborah Carr on the beach. I never knew that it could be like this. Never. Like, who the fuck talks like that? Like, they didn't talk like that back then. I'm pretty sure that probably is not a very good book either. So, I don't know. Maybe to try and give these people credit, maybe they tried to make this sound like, a book or film of the era.
I'm sure that they did, but I feel like they could have done a much better job. I mean, everybody just seemed like a caricature. Nobody seemed like a real human, And
a thin fucking plot. Thin, like toilet paper thin.
And they figured out pretty quick that they were not, because initially they thought they were in on another planet or some other universe or something like that. They had no idea what the hell was going on. They figured out pretty quickly that it was actually, their world just in the future.
So I have a question. Why did they speak English?
They were in Europe, right? I know. They had accents, so I guess that was okay.
So that reminds me of History of the World Part 1.
The French part?
Where Cloris Leachman is leading the French resistance, and she's like, we don't even have a language. We just have these silly accents.
I love that movie.
We all sound like Maurice Chevalier. We were just talking about that movie yesterday.
Oh my God.
Time for Micah to see it.
Yeah, time for Micah to see it. So ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is he ready to see the Piss Boy?
Oh yeah, we've talked about the Piss Boy concept.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what we call our boy dog, Piss Boy, except for because he pees on things in the house, not that he collects pee. Yes, it's much less pleasant. The only thing we were
much less pleasant.
Yeah, the only thing we were concerned about is the naked man butts when Madeline Kahn is picking her companions for the orgy.
Well, that's the way to do it.
No. Yes.
Yes. No. Yes.
You've made some mighty big decisions tonight.
Now, is that the movie? No, that's not the movie that has Biggest Dickus, right? That's a Monty Python movie.
It must be.
I think that's probably the meaning of life. Now that I think of it.
Oh God, I haven't seen that in 30 years.
Biggest Dickus and Incontinentia buttocks.
Yeah, that sounds like them.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So we got a half an hour.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's try this.
Okay. 3 words.
All right. Book No. Book to movie or book to TV. Did you guys finish watching The Alienist?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. What did you think overall?
I thought it was good overall.
I thought it was very well done. I liked the look and feel of it. I thought that captured the book perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
I do hope that there is a second season.
That would be really good.
And that they go in a completely different direction with these same characters. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, you don't want Angel of Darkness, right? As I recall, you didn't like Angel of Darkness.
I couldn't get through Angel of Darkness because they Caleb Carr decided to do it from a completely different POV, right? So I think what's been interesting about The Alienist on TV is that because the book was from John Moore's POV, right? He is much less of a dick in the book because he's telling the story.
Right,
so why would he be a dick?
Yeah.
But then Angel of Darkness is from now I cannot remember the name of that kid.
Stevie's,
Stevie's POV. It was a completely different book, and I tried so hard and I couldn't get into it.
Have you tried The Italian Secretary yet?
Mm-mm.
I haven't either. I bought an actual hardcover. I found it, I don't remember, Barnes & Noble somewhere, and I'm like, oh, I haven't read this yet! So I picked it up when I was there. But I love Caleb Carr. I love how he crafts his words. I just love that he loves history. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to do that one.
He's really good at evoking, like, a super dark, dirty, dingy, creepy, So it's kind of nice to get brought there and not physically actually be there.
Ain't that the truth? But you always want to take a shower later. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, he's really good at that. So I feel like the series did well, so it would be cool if, and I know that he was heavily involved in it.
Yeah, he was. Well, hopefully. That'd be awesome.
Let me Google that now.
Uh-oh, she's Googling it. While she's Googling, have you guys tuned into The Terror? I think it's AMC, and Ridley Scott is involved in that particular production.
No. What is?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
I think they're trying to recreate the story of when back in the 19th century that they were trying to find like a Northwest Passage to make it quicker to navigate the globe. And there's a story, I can't remember who the hell. At some point, there were like 2 or 3 ships that got lost in Antarctica. No, was it Antarctica? Anyway.
Okay.
That nobody knows what the hell happened to them. So I think that this story is the story of one of those ships that didn't survive. Nobody knows what the hell happened to them. It started a couple of weeks ago. If you have on demand, you could probably catch up. I think I only watched 2 episodes. But, I mean, it's one of those I have to be in the mood for, and it's a little bit slow. If you like your stories drawn out, it's a little bit slow. But hopefully they're just laying the groundwork for it to really pick up and move so that you really understand these characters and how they compromise the mission down the road. Who the hell knows? So I'm going to stick with it for a while.
All right, so I don't see anything that says that The Alienist has been picked up for a second season, although there appears to be a lot of discussion about if it will be and should it be.
Well, I vote for yes, it should be.
Oh, absolutely.
A different thing. Turn it into something. I mean, it was different enough from the book that it wouldn't be that big of a deal to continue on and create
a new case for them to solve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and did you end up liking Dakota Fanning or no?
She was okay.
I could never get past her face. I really had a hard time with and I think it was her hairstyle with her face.
Does she have Graves' disease? Those eyes are popping.
So does she just seems anachronistic? Is that the problem? She just doesn't seem like she belongs in that era?
No, I think it was I don't know.
Or is it just her fucking face?
Just her face. I mean,
what about her face?
I don't know, like when she had her hair down and she was in,
when did she have her hair down?
I think when they went, or maybe it was an interview I saw. So, I mean, I think it was just for that. I mean, I liked her character a lot. I loved her character.
Her character was good in the book too.
Absolutely. I liked her character better in the book. But it was really close.
I mean, in the book, you have so much more opportunity for character development than you do in a limited TV series.
True.
So, but yeah, I remember she seems so stoic in the series, almost like she's completely devoid of emotions, whereas in the book, she did not come off like that to me. But I mean, I thought she did okay. My issue as an old lady is that Dakota Fanning to me as a child, she's like 9 or whatever she was. Because I mean, she was a child star, right? Didn't she? Okay, so when something comes out and it says Dakota Fanning's in it or whatever, I'm like, oh, she's a baby. But then I watched it and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess she's a grown up now. So that just makes me feel old.
Yeah, no shit.
Kind of like when people are like, oh, 30 years ago or whatever, baby hit me one more time. And I was like, what?
Right. It was like 5 years ago, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
It was like, oh, so not only is Britney Spears an old lady, but that makes me like a super old lady because I was grown up when that came out.
Ain't that the truth?
We watched the trailer for the original Nightmare on Elm Street last night, which has Johnny Depp in it, right?
Yeah, very young Johnny Depp.
And we're just like, oh my God. And then watching him on anything now, it's like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's great.
I was just gonna say my main memory. I remember seeing that movie in the theater as a teenager, but my main memory of seeing it, aside from, I do remember it being scary, Nightmare on Elm Street. But we saw that at the mall, and by the time the movie got out, the mall had closed. And our car was like 180 degrees around. So I just remember walking through the mall parking lot for what felt like months to try and get to the car. And, waiting for Freddy Krueger, like, click, 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 waiting for him to come up and just rip out our gullets.
I'm your boyfriend now.
That's awesome.
But, and so that makes me feel old because malls.
Yeah,
right?
Who the fuck goes to malls now?
Yeah.
Nobody I know.
We watched... The next book. Do you want to talk about the next book we're going to read?
No, I was going to mention Fright Night because it's one of those I just saw recently with my nephew. He wanted to see it because that's one of his favorites. Now, mind you, he's 20, right?
The
Fright Night, the original.
Right?
The original, with Chris Sarandon.
But that did get remade, didn't it?
It did, which wasn't bad. But I'm watching the original Fright Night and going, there is not a goddamn thing scary about this thing. What the shit? I'm watching it. I'm going, oh my God, Roddy McDowell's his usual over-the-top self. I'm waiting for William Shatner to make a debut. Like, was he in this too? I don't know. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Roddy McDowell's in it should really tell you that it's not meant to be scary.
Yeah, there is that.
It's really
but
not
he was
meant to be.
He was the main bad guy in the Columbo episode, though. He was kind of good at that. He was a little scary.
Point taken.
Nutty. Anyway. Okay, so our next we're gonna go away from fiction this time. Next show we're gonna do some not
not true.
I'm sorry, they changed their mind.
Such a liar.
Get a drink. They changed their mind. What are we doing?
McKenna said, "Poor Dakota, she can't help her face."
I know she can't. McKenna's right though.
It's not a bad face. It's not.
No, it's
like,
not. It's not a bad face. It just didn't. It didn't do it for me in that particular thing.
She looks like she was in a made-for-TV movie, The Fly, and they didn't get her eyes right. Right? She came back. Ah!
And she just seemed kind of washed out. You know,
yeah, with big fly eyes.
I mean, she has big eyes. I think that's just.
I don't have a problem with big eyes. My wife has big eyes. I don't mind big eyes, but
your wife's eyes don't pop up like, you know.
They can. She can make them really scary. But she does have big eyes. Not like big bug eyes, but
okay. So what are we reading, gang? What are we reading?
We're reading a book called The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. And since we have some time, I guess I can go
do a little summary action. What's it say?
Do the summary.
All right,
I got to pull it up. I wasn't ready. So we're going to give away a copy.
And hopefully it's better than the last one. Sorry, McKenna.
McKenna didn't finish. I was like, well, make sure you watch anyway. So that you know not to bother.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm typing in the wrong place. Oh, there it is. Okay. The Woman in the Window. Everything's going slow because it's all being sucked up by YouTube.
Aw.
All right, here we go. Oh, it's really long.
Okay, well, we have 15 minutes. That works.
No, and the book is really long, not the blurb.
Oh.
The book is 427 pages long.
Oh. Well, I mean, that's
not too bad.
No, I mean, I feel like we've
last
done.
One was 5 something.
Was it really, or did it just feel that way?
It felt like
I bet if you look, it was like 179 pages.
Oh my God! Not
it could have been because I had it at 1.5 times speed, and it was still too long.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I feel like we've done longer than 400 pages before.
I think. Well, The Alienist had to be longer.
That was a big book. Yeah.
Okay, so Anna.
We can do it.
We can totally do it.
We can do it.
Anna Fox lives alone, a recluse in her New York City home, unable to venture outside. She spends her day drinking wine, maybe too much, watching old movies, recalling happier times, and spying on her neighbors. Then the Russells move into the house across the way. A father, a mother, their teenage son, the perfect family. But when Anna, gazing out her window one night, sees something she shouldn't, her world begins to crumble, and its shocking secrets are laid bare. What is real? What is imagined? Who is in danger? Who is in control? In this diabolically gripping thriller, no one and nothing is what it seems.
No one will be seated during the final climactic scene.
Oh my God!
Of the Tingler.
I just got a whiff of Girl on a Train.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That sounds exactly like Girl on a Train. You have.
Oh, here somebody even says, "Is this anything like Gone Girl or Girl on a Train?" I hated both of those books. And I consider anything in this suspense/thriller
because I mean, it's
suspect. And
the fact that you have the main character who's drunk, then therefore they can't trust what they see. They think that they've witnessed a crime, and
yeah.
Okay, so what does the person answer?
Says yes. There is a wave of novels with the same premise over and over. Women who witness something but are unreliable due to unstable personalities and drug or alcohol or prescription.
Oh man, come on.
The fact that they have lady parts. That makes you unreliable.
Let's not do this book because I think that is going to be not.
Oh my God, listeners, you have just heard. This is how our conversations go when we're not live and we're actually talking to each other after the show. This is how it goes. We think we get something, we read the summary and go, what the fuck? And then we discuss it. This is what happens. This is why it takes a while for us to figure out what the hell to read.
All right,
so wait, have we just decided that we're not going to do that?
We are not doing that.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
Gotta say,
that's awesome.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Okay, so we had based the fact that we were going to do that on probably the publisher or editor's blurb that it was a fraught thriller that basically was the novelized version of a Hitchcock thriller.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe they say that because it sounds like Rear Window.
Maybe.
Rear Window with a drunk lady instead of
with a broken
James
camera
Stewart
and a jaded future. What about a classic? Anybody want to read a classic?
No.
Sure.
Nothing. Anything? Wuthering Heights. I mean, does anybody have Rachel or Rebecca or anything you might want to read? Nothing. No.
Read that. No, I want to.
She's like, no, please don't make me. I don't.
I mean, okay. So what? I mean, what would be fun? Does anybody out there have a suggestion?
I was even this morning thinking, you know what? Maybe we do parties in Congress. I need a laugh. I need something fun to read. But
I mean, that's fine. But I don't.
We already did all your books.
Did we?
Did we do parties in Congress?
Yes, we've done all of.
I have an infection. I love that. I have it.
We could do Lincoln and the Bardo. We've talked about that before, and that it consistently gets good stuff.
Lincoln and the Bardo?
Lincoln and the Bardo.
I apparently need to stop drinking because I don't ever remember hearing anything about Lincoln and the Bardo.
I don't either, but that's okay.
I didn't know what the Bardo was, and you guys were talking about it.
Isn't Bardo like
purgatory or something?
Yeah, like purgatory, in between heaven and hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's okay. This is what Wikipedia, who is Andy's favorite resource,
I knew you were going to say that.
Lincoln and the Bardo is a 2017 experimental novel.
Oh no!
By American writer George Saunders. It is Saunders' first full-length novel and was the New York Times hardcover fiction bestseller for the week of March 5th, 2017. Saunders is better known for his short stories, reporting, and occasional essays.
Okay,
the novel takes place during and after the death of Abraham Lincoln's son, William Willie Wallace Lincoln, and deals with the president's grief at his loss. The bulk of the novel, which takes place over the course of a single evening, is set in the Bardo, an intermediate space between life and rebirth. That sounds abysmal.
Okay, look up the Final Girls by Riley Sager. It's supposed to be horror.
No, I'm perking out now.
I like that it's supposed to be.
Well, I trust no one anymore. I'm very upset about the whole.
Oh, okay. I just want you to know that The Final Girls is also a 2015 American slasher comedy film. Because I
not expected.
Clicked on that. The plot follows a group of college students who are transported into a 1986 slasher film called Camp Bloodbath.
I don't think that's this because this just came out last year.
Okay. Oh, here it is. 10 years ago. Oh, okay, but Amazon Smile wants me to support my favorite charity, so I'm afraid you're going to have to wait. 10 years ago, college student Quincy Carpenter went on vacation with 5 friends and came back alone. The only survivor of a horror movie scale massacre. In an instant, she became a member of a club no one wants to belong to, a group of similar survivors known in the press as the Final Girls. Lisa, who lost 9 sorority sisters to a college dropout's knife. Sam, who went up against the Sack Man. during her shift at the Nightlight Inn, and now Quincy, who ran bleeding through the woods to escape Pine Cottage, and the man she refers to only as him. The three girls are all attempting to put their nightmares behind them, and with that, one another. Despite the media's attempts, they never meet. Now Quincy is doing well, maybe even great, thanks to her Xanax prescription. She has a caring almost fiancé, Jeff, a popular baking blog, a beautiful apartment, and a therapeutic presence in Coop, the police officer who saved her life all those years ago. Her memory won't even allow her to recall the events of that night. The past is in the past. That is until Lisa, the first final girl, is found dead in her bathtub, wrist slit, and Sam, the second, appears on Quincy's doorstep. Blowing through Quincy's life like a whirlwind, Sam seems intent on making Quincy relive the past with increasingly dire consequences, all of which makes Quincy question why Sam is really seeking her out. And when new details about Lisa's death come to light, Quincy's life becomes a race against time as she tries to unravel Sam's truths from her lies, evade the police and hungry reporters, and most crucially, remember what happened at Pine Cottage before what was started 10 years ago is finished.
Oh my God, I already don't care so much.
She's like, I want them all to die.
It's okay, really hard to measure.
Oh my God,
on the not care scale. Like, I'm not sure what the unit of measure on the not care scale is. Like maybe shrugs.
I grimace and turn away.
Yeah, that's like 15 not shrugs on the not care scale.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, I'm going to recommend one more.
Okay.
Oh, maybe. It's Behind Her Eyes by Sarah.
Is it her optic nerve?
Oh, my.
It's her brain. Behind Her Eyes, Sarah Pinborough. It has an average of 3.75.
It has a what of 3.75?
An average rating on Goodreads.
Out of 10?
No,
out of 5.
Are you tired? Are you not able to
to do math?
I'm laying down. I am laying down, y'all.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait. This one could be, no, it's 3.71. It's Dangerous Women by it's edited by George R.R. Martin. It's an anthology of badass.
All right.
women.
Here's what Behind Her Eyes says. Louise is a single mom, a secretary stuck in a modern day rut. On a rare night out, she meets a man in a bar and sparks fly. Though he leaves after they kiss, she's thrilled she finally connected with someone. When Louise arrives at work on Monday, she meets her new boss, David, the man from the bar. The very married man from the bar, who says the kiss was a terrible mistake, but who still can't keep his eyes off Louise. Do you want me to keep going?
No, please don't.
Okay.
All right.
Please don't.
Fine.
All right, I have an idea. But
Ready
I will
Player
talk
One?
offline because we're almost out of time. This might be a really good time to say goodbye to everybody. And we'll tune in the next time with a surprise story. But before we go, when do you guys want to do the show again? I'm thinking May 12th. What do you guys think? Which calendars look like?
Okay.
Works for you?
I don't know yet. Hold on.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out. We'll announce it.
Yeah, since we're not giving anything away, we don't need to.
Nah, we don't need to. But listen, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, I'm sorry I recommended. Well, I'm sorry I, thought this book might work.
You're fine. I mean, we've all put up some bets.
Yeah, this is a real. All right, y'all. Yeah. Have a great time. We'll see you next month.
All right, bye.